Hey guys, Darin Marques with Huntington and Ellis. I am here today again with Ask the Pro. This time I'm going to be talking about 5 tips to making sure that you're hiring the right luxury agent. So one of the main things I want to talk about, number one, is obviously good reputation and great relationships. So number one, you want to make sure that you're working with an agent who's got a good reputation in the community and a great relationship with other agents. And you ask, sometimes, well, why is that so important? You want to have a good relationship with those other agents. Aren't you supposed to be competing against them and negotiating against them? And the answer is yes, you are. But also what helps in selling your home sometimes is that making sure that you've got that good relationship with the other agents that are top luxury agents, so that one, you can communicate with them well. You know how they work, they know how you work. And a lot of times I've found that is very, very helpful in helping bring the deal together and making sure that the deal works and is successful for both parties. And the other thing I want to talk about is the experience in luxury. Number 2, that would be my number 2 tip. And the reason that's so important, not to knock an agent that has not worked in luxury before, but what I find typically is that, a first-time agent dealing with a home sale that's $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, this can be very intimidating to an agent who's never worked in that price point before. And what will happen is sometimes you'll find that they'll become hesitant in responding. They'll become hesitant in addressing certain things with the clients because they're intimidated by the client. And so the key with this is that really making sure that you have a client that's comfortable in that luxury space, comfortable with dealing with those clientele, and that is not afraid to address things, and also can help give the guidance based off of the experience that they've had in the past, because that's really what a lot of luxury clients are looking for. Obviously, they've purchased several homes, they're successful in their own business, and what they're looking for from an agent is the guidance. And sometimes you need a strong agent who's willing to push back a little bit and say, nope, this is what you need to do, this is what I'm suggesting you do in this situation. And that's where that experience as a luxury agent really comes in handy. Number 3, and I think this is one of the most important things, is level of service. And I bring that up because everybody thinks, well, I give great customer service, but there's different levels of service when it comes to luxury. One of the things that varies in luxury that from a mid-range price home would be that, for example, with my team, anything over $1 million, I have an agent there in person to show the home. Why this is really important is that for several reasons. One, you want to make sure that when the buyer comes in, they're receiving the very best experience as possible, and that they've got an agent on site that completely understands that home. They're going to be seeing multiple properties in one day, and it's really important that there's an agent on site that can help answer those questions that the client may have about the property. The other thing that I do with my team is that with every listing I take one of the agents from my team and I co-list with them, so that there's somebody 100% focused on that listing who knows the listing just as well as I do, because the reality is, in a busy market, I'm not always going to be available to be able to show that property or meet with the agent or meet with the client. And so I've got a partner on my team that can help me with selling that property and will be there to show the home. Showings, and that's a very important thing with the level of service, is making sure that you've got an agent that's not only there to show the property, but is available to show the property when the buyer comes in to look at the home. I can't tell you how many times I've called to schedule a showing for one of my buyers, and not because of the seller not being available, but because the agent was not available at the time, we weren't able to get in and see that property. And one of the things that I always stress to my clients when I'm listing their home is that in the luxury market, even in this crazy busy luxury market, there's very few opportunities to sell a home at $5 million. And the last thing that you want to do is reschedule an appointment with a buyer, because you may lose that one and only opportunity. I'll give you an example. Buyer coming in from California, they could be flying in at 10 a.m. They've got 6 homes lined up that they're going to go look at for the day, and they're going to be leaving at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If you're not able to accommodate and meet that buyer's schedule, and you have to reschedule, let's say you're not available on that Wednesday, it has to be on Thursday, but that client's leaving, you've lost an opportunity for your seller, and as a seller, you've lost an opportunity to sell your home. And so that's why I stress it's really, really important to not only list with just a luxury agent, but a luxury team, so that they've got the capacity and the bandwidth to be able to really service your property at the proper level. The other thing that talking about that is the responsiveness. So it's so important that there's always somebody available to either answer the calls or reply to an agent. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be available on your phone 24 hours a day. That's unrealistic to think that a successful agent is always going to be available and always picking up their phone. Quite honestly, I find it very rude in some situations where an agent's with their client and they're still taking phone calls as they're with their client showing the property. When I'm with my clients, it's 110% dedicated to my client at that time. I'm with them. They've blocked out their day. I've blocked out my day, and I'm going to spend my time with my client. But I've got systems in place, everything from a receptionist, where all calls go to, so there's always someone answering, to, again, my partnering agent is going to be able to help assist in taking those calls and making sure that the client is always serviced on both sides. I always tell my team, at the end of the day, it really doesn't come down to what we want. It comes down to what the seller and what the buyer need. And we need to make sure that we're accommodating that at all levels. And so one of the rules that I have, or policies I have in place with my team, is that we never reschedule an appointment unless the seller or buyer are not available. The other thing that's really important is marketing of the property, understanding how to market the property. The reality is, most luxury agents are going to use a lot of the same videographers, a lot of the same photographers. We'll all be able to deliver that level of marketing. But when I say marketing, it's also outreach, making sure that your agent's not just sitting back waiting for people to show up to that home, but actually reaching out to other agents, letting them know that they just brought a property on the market or they've got a property coming on the market. I can tell you this has worked very well. I mean, a lot of times we've been able to sell a property within a day or 2 days of it hitting the market because we've already started proactively reaching out to the other luxury agents. And again, this is where it goes back to relationships, is that we've been reaching out to those other luxury agents in the market that have those buyers that we can get to the home right away to see that property and quickly get it into contract. So hopefully some of these tips that I'm giving you today will be really helpful when it comes to helping you select the right agent. Again, all the things come down to it. I really believe it's a high level of service that really is what's going to help you succeed in selling your home and getting the most for your home.